we're seeing now is a North Korea threat that is multi-pronged. The Kim regime is not irrational. There is a clear strategy at play here, and it's what I call strategic delinquency. Kim Jong-un's ultimate goal is for North Korea to be recognized as a de facto nuclear-armed state, and he will do everything to get to this objective. We know that in January 2021, over a year before Russia invaded Ukraine, Kim Jong-un detailed a 5-year military development plan. It was basically a shopping list of the advanced weapons, solid fuel intercontinental ballistic missiles, military spy satellites, tactical nuclear weapons, amongst others, that he wanted North Korea to develop. And since then, North Korea has been expanding the scope and the sophistication of its nuclear capabilities and delivery systems rather rapidly. So Kim Jong-un ultimately wants North Korea to be recognized as a nuclear-armed state. And what is concerning in terms of East Asian security and global security is that we do not know just exactly what North Korea has been obtaining from Russia in the realm of advanced missile and military technology, but we cannot and must not rule it out, because this is what North Korea wants the most. This is what Kim Jong-un wants the most. Why did he send an initial deployment of 11,000 troops to assist Russia in the Kursk region, followed by 3,000 or 4,000 more troops in a second deployment, the latter earlier this year? By showing that North Korea is going all in as a key participant, not just an observer, in the Ukraine war, Kim knows that he can get something in return. And even if Russia does not send North Korea its A grade, its best missile and military technology, it will be far better. Any sort of A minus grade technology will be far better than what North Korea has at the moment. Well, this is typical North Korean rhetoric of saying very little. We know what North Korea wants. We know what Kim Jong-un wants. He's outlined it, as I said, in 2021 at the 8th Party Congress in January that year. He's also outlined it earlier this year as well. They could be anti-air missiles. They could be weapons on maritime platforms. They could be weapons such as precision strike weapons. They could be developments of technologies that allow Kim Jong-un to get what he wants the most at the moment, which is re-entry technology. The fact that he hasn't specified this is to be expected. It's very typical of rhetoric from the North Korean regime. But one thing I will say is that any secret weapon North Korea will want to ensure is of significance, is of enough significance, so that these weapons can be seen to be a target to South Korea, to Japan, to the US. You know, the North Korean regime, even before Kim Jong-un, has always said that the US and its allies are hostile actors pursuing a hostile policy seeking to overthrow the Kim regime. And this is why North Korea has nuclear weapons, in its view. This has severe consequences on international security because, as the Ukraine war has highlighted, the Euro-Atlantic and the Indo-Pacific theaters are very much interconnected. The deployment of North Korean troops to fight a European war is a prime example of this. North Korea is not going to denuclearize. North Korea will want to continue developing and expanding the scope and sophistication of its nuclear capabilities and delivery systems. We've seen Kim Jong-un earlier this year highlight how North Korea wants to venture into AI technologies as well. Okay, that again is something that is new, but it's something that we might not expect of North Korea. But AI unmanned systems, for instance, could be something that North Korea develops. In terms of global nuclear proliferation, I think it's a key message that we need to take the North Korean nuclear threat seriously, because now it's not just North Korea's own vertical nuclear proliferation. It is North Korea's exchange with Russia and other actors as well. You know, who knows if North Korean nuclear technologies end up in the hands of terrorist groups or in the hands of other actors. Pyongyang would be willing to do this for cash, most likely. The North Korean regime, ever since the inception of the country in 1948, has been premised on deception and lying. What we're seeing now is a North Korea threat that is multi-pronged. We have North Korea building up its own nuclear capabilities and missile capabilities. We have North Korea's ever strengthening relationship with Russia in terms of security cooperation, but also other forms of cooperation, cultural cooperation, educational cooperation, as we've seen this year. We have North Korea's egregious human rights violations, which are not improving. And within this context, we have weakened international institutions. The UN Security Council is basically impotent now, that are unable to constrain North Korea's behavior. So my concern moving forward is that North Korea's nuclear and missile development increases at a rapid pace, and the international community can do very little about it. Kim Jong-un has already dismissed sanctions. Indeed, at the end of 2019, he said that North Korea will learn to live with sanctions. I think, firstly, we need to ensure that there is robust enforcement of sanctions. Appeasement of adversaries never ends well. And in the West, we, including Britain, need to make sure that we do our utmost to uphold the sanctions regime with respect to North Korea, even though it is difficult. Okay, even though it is difficult. The UN panel of experts designed to monitor North Korea sanctions violations collapsed in March 2024, thanks to Russia's veto and China's abstention. So we need to strengthen the sanctions regime. We need to strengthen deterrence. We need to strengthen military deterrence on the part of the US, South Korea, Japan, as well as cooperating with other Western allies and partners, including the United Kingdom in this regard. Secondly, I think we need to view North Korea not as an irrational actor. The Kim regime is not irrational. There is a clear strategy at play here, and it's what I call strategic delinquency. North Korea has learned that behaving badly reaps rewards, and this is what it wants to do. It wants to give as few concessions as possible to the international community in order to reap rewards. If we go back to 1994, the agreed framework between the US and North Korea agreed to freeze its plutonium production at the time. All the while, it was cheating and expanding and developing highly enriched uranium production to develop nuclear weapons. This logic has not gone away 31 years later. The North Korean regime, the Kim regime, knows very well that if it were to use nuclear weapons in a war on the Korean Peninsula, that this would be the end of the Kim regime as we know it today. What I do see, though, as very concerning is North Korea's heightened nuclear and missile development, its heightened engagement in cyber warfare. How does it fund its nuclear program? Cyber warfare is a big source, and we've seen increasingly severe cyber attacks, including in the domain of cryptocurrency, only earlier this year. And then we have North Korea's links with Russia and China. China is certainly not a benign actor here. China has been helping North Korea evade sanctions. Russia as well. The relationship between Russia and North Korea is only strengthening in light of Russia's war against Ukraine. This is what we should be concerned about. I think the most important thing to realize is we should not be complacent. We need to take the North Korean nuclear threat seriously. We need to take the fact that this is a serial violator of international norms.